Insight KTR. Schnelle Fragen, konkrete Antworten.
Hello and welcome back to Insight KTR. Today we will discuss an exciting topic, namely how the pandemic has changed the work of the sales team at KTR. And because of that, the discussion is today titled with Sales Revolution or Sales Evolution and how sales has changed during the pandemic. And we will answer your questions about it today. In case you are wondering why we speak English, as an international company, we naturally also want to be available to answer questions from our international customers and partners, and therefore we will publish German and English episodes in the future. My first guest today is Stefan Essing, Head of Sales Europe and Africa at KTR Systems GmbH, in the company since 2 years.
Okay.
Thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
And in the middle, we have Gunnar Ehlers. Mr. Ehlers, you are a sales engineer specialized in hydraulics in the company since 2016. Nice to have you here in Insight KTR.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Before we address the questions you have sent us, you, our audience, our viewers, via email and our social media surveys, let's start with a more personal question to you both. I've heard you are both passionate about sports. How has that helped you to deal with the difficult situation during the pandemic, Mr. Ehlers?
Well, good question. I think it helped me quite a lot. In the times not being able to go outside, visit restaurants, meeting friends, it is very important to me to actually exercise, to loosen mind and get a little bit of exercise to keep fit and healthy. So it helped me in a lot of situations to overcome even little depressive moments which came with the corona time. So I really enjoy it, yeah.
Mr. Essing, what about you?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Fortunately, the sports I can do it individually, and it's out in nature, so I'm a passionate mountain biker, and therefore the pandemic hasn't influenced that a lot. So yeah, the sports always is a good, let's say, it's a good way to get rid of certain minds you have, and it really opens your view if you are in nature, if you accelerate your body, your blood circulation, some other things come to your head, and always, or a lot of times, some new ideas. And therefore, yes, it helped me a lot, and still helps. And the next lockdown is maybe close. Is shortly ahead. So this will help in this difficult times when you, as Gunnar said, you can't meet friends, you can't go to restaurants. So yes, it helped a lot, and still helps.
When we today talk about the pandemic, it's obvious that the situation has changed your everyday working life. Appointments on the customers' offices were hardly possible anymore. If the sales force cannot visit the customer, what did you actually do with all the time you have won, Mr. Essing?
So you can still visit or meet with customers, just in a different way. So there is a possibility to meet. Yeah, the time you have available now that was former occupied by traveling, long-haul travelings. This has been used for strategic items, for rethinking of sales, rethinking of the way sales was, or thinking of how sales was, and rethinking of how sales may be after the pandemic. How many or what can be transferred of the methodologies we have now, of the systems we have now, can be transferred after the corona pandemic, or will be still in place. And these are the things we do, because I believe that the pandemic might be over in regards to infection rates and all that kind of things. But the way we do sales, I would say, won't be the way as it was before.
Mr. Ehlers, a lot of time, or isn't it right?
I actually pretty much agree with Mr. Essing. It was a challenge. First of all, it was a big challenge from one day to the other. Specifically in my personal experience, things have changed tremendously, and I had appointed visits with customers, and from one week to the other I had to cancel everything. So there was the need to actually find new ways to stay in contact, to discuss projects you started, because the project didn't stop, obviously.
Which ways do you use?
Actually, traditionally I used the telephone, but more and more customers equipped themselves pretty well. So nowadays we can use a lot of different products like Teams or others to do video calls, which actually has become a very powerful tool, because you can discuss technical or economical issues in a very quick and solution-orientated way, which helps to even speed up things. And to get back on the road, as Stefan just said, I think this will influence the future way of doing business, because there will be the question, is it necessary to do any personal visit, or can certain things be discussed on a quick way via a video chat? But most of all, I do believe that personal visits, being a sales engineer, will always be of high importance and will never lose the importance that it has today. Might be a bit less.
Thank you. Mr. Essing, lots of change has been made. How did your team adapt to the new situation? How's the mood in your team?
Well, the mood is, as far as I know, is still good. And yeah, there is, I mean, it is obviously difficult for salespeople who were used to be on the road, who were used to be in front of customers, have interesting, hard discussions with customers, now to be at home or to do it via video chat. And there is, when you talk to people, to the colleagues, it is different, and you see the difference in the mood of the one or the other from day or week to week. It's a little bit like I wouldn't say a roller coaster. It's not that extreme, but sometimes, some days, some people are more agile because, I don't know, maybe they were out, had sports and had a new idea, or sometimes they feel like, I've done the 15th Teams meeting, and
I think everybody knows what you mean.
Yeah, so I would really like to go out again and see the colleagues or the customers in person. So I think it's a mix of both, of getting new ideas, falling into a little bit of an emotional valley, I would say. But at the end of the day, I think when we see it all together, I think it's still a very good mood. And when we see, we had just had a review last week, the numbers of projects we have got, it's tremendous, because obviously engineers, responsible people at the customer side are available as well. Some things have been slowed down because they are not on the street. So there was more time, or it was sometimes easier to get certain projects over the line because people were available. So as it always in life, sun and shadow, yin and yang. So it's everything has its pro and cons.
Thank you. We have received quite some questions on this topic, so many thanks to you, to our community. Please continue to send us your ideas, your questions to social media at ktr.com or participate in our social media surveys. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook or Instagram, and your questions will be included. The next question we received is for you, Mr. Essing, and you are responsible for the European KTR sales force. How prominent was COVID-19 in their daily business in 2020, and do you see differences among the different countries?
It was very prominent. It was basically it was the introducing topic to every meeting, so it was subject all the time. Yes, there are quite big differences between the countries. When you look in the north of Scandinavia, we know that Sweden had a different approach to how to handle the pandemic than, for example, Spain or Italy. And Italy and Spain, we really had to close down the office quite early and switch to smart working or home office. In Sweden, it was different. They still they're still not working completely from home. So some colleagues are at the office because we have a small stock there as well. So it is as well necessary that people come in. And the mentality as well is different due to the experience they obviously made in Italy. With we all have seen the pictures of the crowded hospitals. That's something, for example, the Netherlands or countries in Scandinavia haven't experienced that way. So yes, difference between different countries.
We talk about the pandemic today, and we all know every crisis offers chances too. Mr. Ehlers, in which way are you able to profit from the changed situation as a sales team?
That's a very interesting question. In general, the chances that we found are diverse. Speaking personally, we started, for instance, the webinar, and my personal experience is that I gained more importance to my customers, and relations has become interestingly more close, where we have times that we, as well as our competitors, can't visit customers. It's a game changer. Now it's not who's there the first time visiting the customer. Now it's really how you handle and keep the contact with the customer. This can make a change. So it's a bit difficult to answer the question straight away, but I guess in general, KTR is taking a lot of advantages out of the current situation on the market and the time customers have to find new suppliers or make price comparisons, all those things. That's offering chances, whereas these weren't there in busy times before, for instance.
You both talked about new ways of communication. Many companies switched to video conferencing when internal and external meetings are on schedule. What was more difficult, Mr. Essing, the technical setup or the onboarding process of team members?
To be honest, I found it both very easy. Our IT really did an excellent job. They provided the systems, they provided the infrastructure in a very short way. Teams was part of our life before the pandemic, not to the extent as it is now. So therefore, this, when he talked about opportunities as well, this was obviously a real push for this kind of communication. So I personally think, and the way we communicated with, or the way we communicate with our colleagues, I didn't experience a lot of hurdles, or basically no hurdles, because we were somehow, I mean, if you deal with colleagues and if you lead colleagues in a distance or over a distance, I've done that before, so it wasn't very difficult? It wasn't very difficult.
Okay.
So the tool was there, and yeah, it worked okay. Worked good, basically.
Mr. Ehlers, which experience did you make?
For me personally, it was relatively easy, because in my former working life, I used it quite a lot, like Stefan did. I think looking to the German sales force, there might be differences depending on age or also on experience. But overall speaking, the entry was very easy for all of us, and we all acted very fast with the support of our IT. So it finally became a very easy change for all of us in the German sales force, at least. I mean, can't speak for the colleagues in Europe or America, but I can speak for the German colleagues.
Mr. Essing, the situation demands changes of every department in a company. How did working with the other departments at KTR change?
Well, it changed in the way that for one day, or from a very short period, in a very short period, the video conferencing or the, let's say the call, I think it's voice over IP, that was, it was mandatory. So the more or less the old landlines were cut. Teams is now Teams is a tool we use for calling, for normal audio calls, for video calls. So, yeah, I think the COVID or the pandemic accelerated the small or the slow development in this direction. There was, as I said, we had this development before that we changed to different systems, but from one day to the other, it was mandatory. So, and to be honest, I like it, because then there wasn't the question, can we do it, should we do it? No, we had to. And as it turned out, it was good, it works, it really works well, and it gives a lot of flexibility and a lot of different ways to communicate. And yeah, I'm a big fan of it.
We have today 20 minutes, always at Inside KTR, we have 20 minutes for our talk, and we slowly come to the end. I have a last question for both of you. What would you say now? Mr. Ehlers, you first, please. Is it a sales revolution or evolution that has happened here, or that we are in?
Partially both, I would say. But in general, I also think the pandemic is just accelerating a development or evolution, to use the word, that would have come anyway, that's unstoppable. And there are also some developments or changes that I would call a revolution, but more for a company view. It's not a general economical revolution, but there might be some as well. One thing I'd just like to add to the question before, I would even say, and that is a real revolution to me, the ways of communication brought me much closer to my colleagues than ever before.
Okay.
And this is really good. I think I haven't been in close contact to my colleagues as much before as I am now, and it wasn't ever that easy to have a couple of words or discuss things.
Can you please explain how it works?
With the new systems, specifically the video conferencing, I really do enjoy talking to the people, because now you have a face. It's not just a voice on the phone. You can see them mimicking, and you can see gestures. That really much helps to get a better understanding. And
sometimes you can see their private rooms.
In my case, you see
cats, children.
Exactly. All that, and that makes it so sympathetic and brings us so much closer. In a way, it wouldn't have happened meeting in an office or in a meeting room somewhere else, or having them on the telephone. So this is the major revolution, to me personally at least. And I really enjoy that.
Mr. Essing, a sales revolution or evolution?
In different areas, it can be a start of a revolution or a strong evolution. Especially the real personal face time to the customers. That's something that will be. I think it's part of a. Not a destructive revolution, but it's part of a revolution, because a lot of things we are talking about now, like digitalization of our sales, digitalization of processes. That has been topics before the pandemic, but now this got a real acceleration. And I think, as well as it was with the communication, as I mentioned before, a lot of processes we have done, or a lot of the ways we did sales in the past will be questioned in the future. The numbers of visits, the so-called milk can rides you have done before, are they necessary? And there was one saying in a webinar I heard a few weeks ago. There was one person saying, everything that can be digitalized will be digitalized. And I think the pandemic accelerates this. And I think there will be a lot of interesting topics in the years to come. And I'm really looking forward.
And our 20 minutes have already passed again. And I want to thank you very much, Mr. Ehlers, Mr. Essing, for your interesting answers. And to you out there for the exciting questions you sent us. And I want to tell you that you can hear our episodes as a podcast, see them as videos, or read the text we provide for you. Please share them also to those who are interested in KTR too. Next time it's all about customer proximity, so tune in again. All the best and see you soon. Bye.